Hello. This is a module for cultivating conservation for Maryland and Delaware's small and historically underserved farmers. Today, we're going to be giving an introduction to how to use the Web Soil Survey. The Web Soil Survey is a really useful tool developed by the USDA and the US Geological Survey. It's available by using any internet search browser and typing in Web Soil Survey, and I'll give you a little live tour after the slides. What you do is you start by selecting your area of interest. And the idea is you take your farm or any land that you're looking at, and then you find it in the Web Soil Survey and learn about your soil using this tool. It's often easiest to start by choosing your state and county. I've had some success by using the address as well. So either option works depending on your location. If you're using the state and county option, you pick your state and you pick your county, and it zooms you in to the county map. Then you'll have to navigate to your specific piece of land that you're interested in using the zoom tool. Let me see if I can find the pointer. There we go. Oh, there we go. So using the zoom tool here. If you don't want to zoom and you just want to move around on the map, you can use the glove shaped tool to click on the map and drag. Once you've zoomed in to the piece of land you want to look at, you then draw a shape around the piece of land you want to look at. You can draw a square using this area of interest button, or you can draw an irregularly shaped shape using the kind of polygon shaped button. And in that case, you'll kind of drop points. With the square, you'll drag, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. Once you've selected your area, then you click on Soil Map at the top, and that will generate a soil map for your piece of land, and it'll generate a lot of information about the different soils on that land. You can see in this example, there are these orange lines drawn over the map, and the orange lines divide different soil types. There's a code, there's some little letters here. It's a little hard to see, and it is a little hard to make the Web Soil Survey make those letters any larger. But if you can get in close enough on the actual Web Soil Survey, you look at the little code of letters and then you match it to, on the left, there's the legend, which tells you about how much of the area is classified as each of these types of soils. And if you click on the blue text, it will tell you more about that specific type of soil, things like the layers that it has, the percent sand and silt and clay, or the texture of the soil, the slope, how steep the soil is, and whether it's considered prime farmland or not. Then you can explore even more using the Soil Data Explorer tab up at the top. If just a couple of the functionalities of this tool, if you click on, once you've clicked on Soil Data Explorer, if you click on suitabilities and limitations for use, there are a bunch of things you can learn more about. As an example, you can click on vegetative productivity, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of data that you can look at. Then here we're going to look at the yields of non-irrigated crops, and not every piece of map, not every area of interest will have all of the data that's available necessarily. This one that we were looking at in this PowerPoint example has data on irrigated and non-irrigated yields. So if you select that option and click to view rating, so you select the option you want using a drop down here, and then you click view rating, it will generate a map of estimated corn yields. And in the legend for that map, it will tell you, based on the color, what estimated corn yield you can expect in different parts of the farm, which is really useful. for your developing your business plans, developing your marketing plans. You can also print that map to share save for your records, to put in your business plan, to share with your business partners or your bank. Another type of data you can look at under Soil Data Explorer is the Soil Properties and Qualities tab. Again, there's a whole lot of information that might be there. Not every location will have all of the data, but as an example, if you click on soil properties and qualities and then soil health properties, you can get an estimate of organic matter for different parts of the land. And again, you click the drop-down box and then you click View Rating, and it will generate a map for you of the estimated percent soil organic matter across the farm. And the legend will tell you what color relates to which percent organic matter. You can do similar things with percent clay, percent sand, percent silt, other soil data properties. These maps are a really useful place to get started learning about your soil, but they're not at a scale designed for precision agriculture. They're more at a larger landscape scale, the data that underlies these maps. So as an example, here is the Web Soil Survey map for a field. And here is a picture of the soybeans in that field using an unmanned aerial vehicle or a drone. And you can see that there are some yield differences and some things going on in that field that don't show up in the Web Soil Survey. So the granularity of the data is not as precise or as small as you would need to do precision agriculture, but it's a really good place to start in learning about your soil. And then it's a good idea to go out and ground truth it yourself, kind of use the jar test maybe to check on the soil texture, see if it matches what the Web Soil Survey says, and then continue on from there learning about your soil. I'm going to exit the slides now and walk through an example of how to use the Web Soil Survey. So actually, I'll navigate to it to show you. So I'm using Google. You can use any kind of web browser. And what you do is you go to the search bar where you would type in a search, and Google has this. Other web browsers like Firefox or Chrome have their own search bar. And you type in Web Soil Survey, and it should take you right there to the Web Soil Survey home. There's a lot of information here about like the history using mobile devices, but all you have to do is click this big green button that says Start WSS, Start Web Soil Survey, and it'll open it up to a map of the United States. And so in the PowerPoint, it recommended, let me see if I can move that. There we go. It recommended starting with state and county, which you can do. You select your state from a drop-down box and select your county. What I often do is start with an address. So let me show you what happens if we search for one of the research farms for University of Maryland, which is in Queenstown, Maryland. So, there we go. When I did it before, it didn't like that address. And I don't think it's actually taken me to the right place. So if you type in the address and it doesn't do what you think, you can try again with a slightly different version of the address. And here, I tried taking the state off, and that took me to where I actually wanted to go. I recognize now the farm that I'm looking at. So it's a good idea to know, if you can, maybe to kind of know what your farm layout looks like from an aerial view to help you find what you're looking for. Up here, you've got your zoom button, zoom in, zoom out, drag. I find what I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit. There we go. And a lot of these fields here are where we do a lot of research for the University of Maryland. This drag button is helpful if you want to move the map without zooming in or out. Here's how you create an area of interest. If you want to create a square one, You can click and drag, and it'll zoom in to the area of interest that you've created. If you don't like the area of interest that you've created, you can go over here on the left and click Clear AOI, and it'll get rid of what you've made. If you want to make a funny shape for your area of interest, let's say we want to do just the agricultural fields and not get information about the other stuff, or say this across the road here, maybe that belongs to your neighbor. You don't really care about their soil, you want your soil. So here I'm going to create a funny shaped area of interest by click, and then I'm not holding the mouse, I'm just moving the mouse. And every time I click, it drops another point on the map. And so you can make whatever shape you want this way. Or you can just make a really big square that encompasses your whole farm. Here we go. And I find when I do this, it often like doesn't show me everything I want all together. So you can click and drag a little bit to see what you want, or you can zoom out a little bit. And now I've zoomed out too much. I think you can also, yeah, with the zoom in, you can click and drag, and that'll zoom into about the area that you want. Okay, so now that you've got your area of interest, you click Soil Map. Here we go. And you can see, again, it's small. Even if I zoom in, those letters don't really get any bigger, which is frustrating. But here it says MQA. And if we go over to the left, MQA is a Mattapex Butlertown silt loam, 0 to 2% slopes. There's 141 acres in this area of interest that is this kind of soil type. If I click on it, it tells me a lot of information about it. This can be a little overwhelming, but what I recommend beginners start by looking at is the mean annual precipitation. That's useful to know, but that generally is mostly what your state precipitation is. I find it really helpful to look at the typical profile section, and that will tell you, starting from the top of the soil going down, what soil texture you have. And soil texture is one of the most important soil properties. So at the top of the soil surface down to 15 inches, which is most of what you care about in agronomic crop production, in any agriculture, you've got a silt loam, which is a pretty good soil for growing crops in. Another useful thing is the farmland classification up top. And it says all areas of this soil type are prime farmland. So that's a good thing to know. That means it's the kind of soil that tends to be good for growing agricultural crops. The slope is also generally useful to know, because if it's a 0 to 2% slope, that means it's very flat. You're not going to have too many erosion problems. And drainage class is also something I like to look at. This says it's moderately well drained. And also frequency of flooding is useful to know. So this, even though this is out on the eastern shore, there's water nearby. Theoretically, this soil class is rarely flooded and well drained, moderately well drained. And then you can print this if you want. Over to the Soil Data Explorer. You can look, we suggested looking at suitabilities and limitations for use. And this is where you get the crop yield estimates. So you go to suitabilities and limitations for use, click on vegetative productivity, yield of non-irrigated crops, view rating, and it generates the map. There we go. And it's red, which is a little worrying. But then if you go down, it's selected a crop for alfalfa hay. So I don't really, apparently this is not the best place to grow alfalfa. Let's see about corn. Here we go. These are some better colors. And the legend is actually kind of minimized to start off with. So you have to go up here to the left and click the legend button. And here is the code for the colors. So here in these dark blue areas, according to the data, again, your mileage may vary in real life, but based on the data that the USDA has, you can expect corn yields of between 137 and 156. And I think it's in bushels per acre. There you go. Yield units are bushels. And if you want, you can print. There's a printable version. And here you'd be printing the map of the yields. And then if you wanted to look over at the soil properties, over here in this tab, soil properties and qualities, soil health properties, soil organic matter was the example that we used in the PowerPoint. Try click view rating. There we go. Here's the soil organic matter. There's a table with some information down here with the map unit symbols based on rating, or you can look at the legend over here. So in the red areas, the soil organic matter is very low, less than 1.22%. In the yellow, it's between 1.22% and 2%, which is still pretty low. So the soil organic matter, based on the data when this map was made, which was probably made at least 50 years ago, the soil organic matter is probably low. If you've been farming this land and adding organic matter, the soil organic matter might be higher. So again, you should go out and ground truth this, but it's a good place to start to kind of get in the right ballpark. And there's a lot more information that you can get from the Web Soil Survey. So if you want help navigating it, definitely contact your local extension agent and they can help you walk through it. And if you have any questions, you can contact Dr. Sarah Hirsch. And here's her contact information, shirsh, SHIRSH at umd.edu is her email, and her phone number is 410-651-1350. Or you can contact your local extension. So she's the one who developed this course, or you can contact your local extension agent and they can help you with the Web Soil Survey as well.